Recent comments made by Vincent D'Onofrio at Boston Comic Con have set the Marvel rights sphere discussion on fire because D'Onofrio revealed that the Kingpin is caught in a legal battle between Sony and Marvel Studios. So once again, this is coming at us from Vincent D'Onofrio directly, who, as I said, was at Boston Comic Con. Sad I didn't get to go this year, other things came up, but next year, and I'm going to get to meet him relatively soon, so that's going to be checked off that bucket list. I'll talk about that in another time on another channel. But yeah, during a onstage interview, him and Charlie Cox were talking about the future of Spider-Man, Daredevil, Kingpin, all the things involved with Marvel. And that's when D'Onofrio talks a little bit about the complexity with his character, specifically talking about the upcoming animated series where Charlie Cox and him are both returning to voice their characters. He then says that there are characters that are caught in rights disputes, they're co-owned, you know, characters like Namor, for example, that we've talked about. They can't produce a standalone Namor film no matter what because there's outside factors. On top of this, there's other characters that are legacy characters that are owned, caught up in contracts, and back in the day, you know, when Fox was a factor, Universal, Lionsgate, there was a lot more. Well, what he reveals is that the Kingpin is partially owned by Sony. Now, if you really think about this, going all the way back to right around the time where the Raimi stuff was happening, Kingpin was appearing in Daredevil, you know, the Ben Affleck film, but also there was an animated series produced by Sony that could feature Kingpin, and did. So you really got to take a step back and try to read between the lines and maybe figure out what's going on. So is like animated Kingpin shareable, live action? Sony's got to do their own version, and it sounds like they can. So if they wanted to introduce a Kingpin into, like, the Spunkverse with Venom, Madam Web, and all that, they technically could, by all accounts. But it sounds like that's not their goal, and that they're essentially letting, you know, Marvel do whatever they want with Kingpin. They're not going to touch him, and at the same time, they're obviously working with one another to share elements, to share characters, and whatever else is happening. So I don't think we should worry just yet about anything, because nothing has gone wrong. You know, they weren't making the Netflix series, and we didn't have Sony be like, yeah, you can't use the Kingpin, you know? That's not an issue, right? So I think this is all fine. I just think there's leftover pieces of contracts that are caught up in these disputes that, unfortunately, they're not going to be taken care of. And at some point, they might lapse, they might not. But, obviously, let's say Sony, for some reason goes, you know what? We're going to make Venom 4, and we're going to put Kingpin in that. They can. But where's the benefit? It would only hurt them and their relations with Marvel. So I don't think it's going to happen. So I don't think we need to worry. So there we go. That's the deal. Sony has some claim on Kingpin, but we don't know what it is.